Greetings, friends. Rudix here with another episode of Is This Game Scary? This week, I'll be talking about Parasite Eve 2. And a friendly word of warning that, as always, this video may or may not possibly contain spoilers about the game, and if you haven't played it yet, then you've been warned. So, with that out of the way, let me just say that Parasite Eve 2 starts out pretty perfect. You go into Acropolis Tower, and there's like dead bodies everywhere, and creepy things going on. Then all of a sudden you're under attack by these armless mall walkers that are upset that all the youths are taking over their mall or whatever. I'm actually not really sure why everything is attacking you, but I guess being confused about why everything is going on is kind of the point of the beginning of every video game. Either way, you get infinite ammo, and absolutely nothing is intimidating at this point because it's just naked old ladies and rats and whatever you would normally see at some partially abandoned mall. Then eventually there's like fish. I mean, these are all literally things you just see at the pet store. They aren't even mutated or anything. It's seriously just a bunch of regular ass rats and butterflies. Then after you get out of there, you move on to the heckin' desert. It's a brightly lit and completely abandoned town with nothing but llamas and giant scorpions and like sometimes some bats. And like, I'm sorry to whatever member of staff got bit by a llama at a young age, but llamas aren't scary. They're cute and goofy looking. In fact, most of the enemies in the game are like cute looking goblins or Carl from Aqua Team Hunger Force. And the fact that you're just in this incredibly well lit area surrounded by these things, it's like you're on Uncle Jim's farm, and the only time that's scary is when it's a family reunion, and you're afraid literally anyone is going to ask if you've gotten your life together, or how come you aren't married with 16 children yet despite being only like 25 years old. And that's not even the worst part of all this. Eventually Aya meets some Chad out in the middle of the desert, and is just like drooling all over this dude for the entire rest of the game. Even though she just met him, and he keeps betraying her over and over again. It's really hard to take any part of this game seriously when it starts off being so incredibly spooky, and then suddenly you're just in this well-lit and incredibly average desert pit stop of a town. Oh, like real-life desert pit stops are massively more scary than this game, because with real-life pit stops, you sometimes go into the bathroom, and you see there's not an officer in there, and you know you just need to leave immediately, because if you don't, then there's like a 90% chance you're about to get raped and killed. And if anything, the fact that you even got through the door to begin with means you're probably dead. But in Parasite Eve 2, the worst thing you might find in the bathroom is like a llama, and as long as you don't harass it, you should be okay. This game had so much potential, but in terms of being scary, it fell incredibly short. I'm gonna have to give it 0 spooks out of 10 on the spooky scale, because the further along you get into the story, the less spooky it becomes, and the more outlandish it gets. By the end of the game, the spookiest thought you might have is being forced into an encounter with several of those annoying blob creatures, and you won't be able to run from the encounter, so you gotta spend like half an hour fighting them because the aim for anything in this game is terrible. I will say that even on a regular review scale, I wouldn't give this game more than like 4 out of 10. I love certain aspects of it, but it was such a huge disappointment of a sequel when compared to Parasite Eve. If I was to review this as an entirely separate thing from the original Parasite Eve, with absolutely no link to the original game, I would probably give it a much higher score, but my expectations were so much higher because of how good Parasite Eve 1 was. And I've played some really horrible games from around the same time this game came out that were similar in design, and in all honesty, this wasn't a terrible game on its own. This game is incredibly outlandish at times, but it does a really good job at setting up the story for the third birthday. Like if Parasite Eve 2 and Third Birthday were their own thing completely separate from the original Parasite Eve, then it would have been a pretty good couple of games, but following up Parasite Eve with this game is a horrible disaster that I'll probably cover more when I get around to making a video on Third Birthday. There's definitely some hotter garbage out there from the PS1 and Dreamcast era, so I try not to rag on Parasite Eve too much because at its core, it's not a terrible game, but it definitely fell incredibly short of delivering. But anyways, that's it for Parasite Eve 2. If you enjoyed this video and would like to look forward to many more spooky game reviews in the future, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you're interested in seeing me actually play through a variety of games in real time, be sure you follow my Twitch stream at twitch.tv/Rudix. Thanks for watching and see you next time.